So I didn't get my start in trucking. I got my start in yoga. I'm a recovering addict, and looking for resources and ways to help improve my life, there wasn't any. And so I found yoga, and yoga changed my life. Yoga changed my life mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I owned a yoga studio for 15 years and had a state-approved vocational school. I was working with people just like you in pain every single day. And one of the things I learned working with people in pain, drivers, farmers, plumbers, teachers, mechanics, was that many of them weren't moving enough during the day. They'd come to yoga and they'd do their 30-minute class or their 60-minute class and they'd feel better. But a lot of the pain that they had during the day, back pain, hip pain, plantar fasciitis, they weren't getting better. And I thought, I'm missing something. I'm missing the mark. Yoga had helped me a lot mentally. It helped me a lot emotionally. But I myself was still having injuries, still having pain. So I stepped outside of the yoga world and I was like, okay, I need to actually learn about this thing. If you can remember back to high school, I remember memorizing body parts, but I actually didn't know anything about body parts. And what I learned was that the human body is one of the most amazing machines that we can own, and so many of us put it on the back burner. You take the time to make sure your truck is in tip-top shape, and you think that your body can run on empty. And that's what I was doing for years. I was allowing my body to run on empty. I've been in recovery for almost 10 years, and one of the things I learned is that every single day I treat my body well, it treats me well. And that pain in our body is a natural alarm system, telling us that we need to pay closer attention. So after about 10, 12 years in the yoga world, I was at a local business mixer in my small hometown. I'm from Wisconsin. Any Midwesterners? If you can't tell, I'm from Wisconsin, my accent. I was at a small town business mixer, and I'm just talking to this guy I never met, and I'm trying to pitch him corporate yoga, because that's partly what I did at the time. I worked with companies like AT&T, Horizon Home Care Hospice, M&I Bank, teaching their employees on how to move more in their everyday life. And as I'm trying to pitch him corporate yoga, he looks at me and says, "Do you have anything for truck drivers, like in the cab of the truck?" And I think I'm funny sometimes. And I threw up my hands, and I was like, "Mother trucker yoga," just trying to get a rise out of this guy. And he sticks out his hand. He says, "That's brilliant. You want to go into business together?" And in 4 months, we built a business from scratch. We actually launched here at Matt's in 2018. And a year later, I bought him out of the business because, I mean, I was doing everything anyways. But my passion is helping people in pain. I believe that it's the small, simple changes in life that lead to the big results that you're looking for, and that you can feel good again, and it doesn't have to take 30 minutes. It doesn't even have to take 10 minutes. 5 minutes, 1 minute, sprinkled out throughout your day can lead you to the big changes you're looking for in your health and in your life. And just like you, I wanted to find health in my life. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I knew that I couldn't live the lifestyle that I was living. I couldn't keep going down the path that I was going down. Something had to change. And now I work with truck drivers just like you every single day, showing them what they can do, small, simple changes that isn't exercise. I'm not here to promote exercise. I'm not here to tell you that you should go do push-ups, you should become a runner, that you need to work out, pump iron. I'm not here to tell you to do that, because for a driver, that's not practical. You don't know what your schedule's going to be like. You don't know how things are going to change. Hey, dancing trucker. You don't know what's going to happen in your everyday life. But I believe we all have 5 minutes. We all have time. And now apparently it's a dancing trucker episode here. All right, we all have change. We all have time to be able to add more movement into the day. So today I'm going to talk to you about 4 basic movements that everyone can be doing from the driver's seat in just a few minutes a day. But before we do that, I want to talk about something really important, and that's the importance of posture. We're going to see if this clicker works here for us today. Come on. Oh, there we go. All right, so our bodies have here we go, one back. Our bodies have a blueprint. We all do. And we are an adaptation to our environment over time. Think about what I said there. We are an adaptation to our environment over time. So that means that shoulder pain that just randomly came out of nowhere, that plantar fasciitis that just doesn't seem to go away, isn't random. Where you spend the majority of your day is what defies your physical body and what defies your mental body. So in order to fix anything in our physical body, we first have to start way at the beginning, and that's posture. So before we know what good posture is, we have to know what bad posture is. And this is something that we all can fix. So I have a sense of humor. And so there's the leaner. Maybe you're the leaner. I've had 3 kids, and so I did a lot of leaning, and there was always something on my hip. Maybe you're a leaner, kind of one foot turned out, one hip jacked over to the side. There's the forward head gawker. For drivers, this is a big one because you're driving all day or at a computer. You might start out this way, but by the end of the day, your head is so far forward, and then you get that gnarly pain between your shoulder blades because there's a muscle that goes from your inner shoulder blade to the base of your head is just killing you. It's like a stabbing pain that just won't go away. Maybe that's you. Then there's the arched back belly dropper, where your booty's behind you and your belly's out in front of you. Well, this posture, this is not good. Reason being is because your core muscles are hanging out and your glute muscles are behind you. Now you have back pain. And it's like, where did this come from? It's your posture. We're going to fix that. Then there's the flat back booty tucker, thinking that maybe will help you with posture. But really, then we kind of slouch on ourselves. I see this a lot in people that are really tall, where naturally, just over time, you kind of try to make yourself smaller than what you are. My brother-in-law is 6'7", so he does that so he doesn't hit his head on every single doorway. Then there's the military soldier. Good intentions, right? Stand up straight, shoulders down and back. My grandmother always told me that. She had good intentions, but that actually wreaks havoc on your neck. And then finally, there's the non-pregnancy pelvic leaner, where you're not pregnant anymore if you're a woman. I see this a lot in heavier set people. To help brace the weight of their body, they leverage their hips forward, which puts a lot of pressure on your lower lumbar. Now you have herniated discs. Now, couple that, sitting in a driver's seat with constant impact, now that's a recipe for your lower back, and you can't figure out how it happened. So where do you fit in? Where do these postures look familiar to you? I actually wrote a book called Trucking Yoga, Simple Fitness for the Long Haul, where I talk about posture. More than 60 exercises. The exercises I'm going to show you today are inside that book. So where do you fit in? So now that we know what bad posture looks like, let's fix it and make it better. So you got to stand up. If you didn't know it, this is an interactive workshop. So I want you to stand up. Otherwise, you're just listening to stuff. Be a good sport. Come on, stand up, stand up. I don't bite, don't worry. All right, now that you're standing, I don't want you to change a thing. Freeze in place. And I want you to look down at your feet. Don't move them yet. Notice the direction of your feet. Rule of thumb, if you're going forward, your feet should be going forward. How many times, I mean, we're at a truck show, you guys. Watch people walk when you leave here, okay? How many times do you see someone with their feet pointing in 2 different directions and they're trying to go forward? You want to know why you have knee pain? Because your knee is not meant to move in that direction. So first things first, turn your feet to point straight forward. Now, once you do that, you might notice like, whoa, that feels really wrong. That's because you've been spending your entire life teaching your body to do this. So step 1 is to turn your feet forward. Step 2 is to pay attention to your knees. So we're all wearing pants right now. We don't have shorts on. But if you would, you have these 2 slits and the backs of the knees. You can see them. They're like vertical lines. I call them your directionals. They're actually supposed to be pointing straight back. So we can fix this even though we can't see it. I want you to grab both of your thighs with your hands. And without moving your feet, roll your thigh muscles out till you feel your glute muscles engaged. Do you feel that? It's like, oh, there's my glute muscles. All of a sudden they turn on. So you don't need a lot of glute exercises. You just need to stand the right way. So it's a little rotation out with your legs, and then all of a sudden your glutes kick in. So a little turn on. I'm going to help you here right after that. So when you do that, all of a sudden your glutes kick in, and your glutes are the shelf for the lower back. So if you're not using your glute muscles, your back is having to hold all the weight of the rest of your body. Okay, so we did feet, we did knees. The next one, it's called pelvic neutral. So your pubis bone, when you unzip your jeans, and then your front hip bones. This is about bony structure, not about what's around it. I want you to try to tip those level. So more than likely, many of us are going to have to tip back. It's going to feel like you're tucked, but you're not. You're just level. All right? This is called pelvic neutral. This is really important for good core health and good core strength. And as we work our way up the body, now we're at the rib cage. So our ribs, we want to bring them down. Just take a nice deep breath out and let your ribs drop. And you're probably going to feel hunched now. We're going to fix that in a second. And then the next part is my favorite. It's called break the stick. Both arms come out in front. You're going to plug your shoulders back. And now you're the Incredible Hulk. Grab the stick, and you're going to break the stick. And as you do that, your palms and forearms turn up, and your shoulders drop down. Do you feel that? Now drop your arms. Don't move your shoulders. Last thing, okay? Take your head and slide it back. And now I know what you're thinking. Hope, how am I supposed to walk around like this all day? Okay, and so what I want you to do is pick one. What am I going to focus on? Am I going to focus on my feet, my knees, my pelvis, my ribs, my shoulders, my head? And I want you to pay attention to that for the rest of the day. And keep self-correcting yourself every time you do. This is where fitness starts. If we don't check in with our posture, everything we do is going to be with that crappy posture. It's going to be with that, whatever we've been doing all day, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to start here. Posture also affects our mood, our emotions. It affects how we view the world. So when you're upright, everything that comes at you just looks a little bit different. Okay, you can sit down. So now that we know posture, okay, now that we improved our posture, we know what we want to pay attention to, we know what we want to fix, what are some things? Here's our little posture diagram. I forgot I had that in there for you guys. We want to know, how can I fix this in the driver's seat? So one, make sure you can adjust your driver's seat, okay? Sometimes we don't realize. I was just over talking to Minimizer earlier today, and he's like, I can't tell you the number of drivers I talk to that don't realize how many different ways you can adjust your seat. And so make sure, one, you check your seat. Two, you might need a little bit of extra support. If you ever heard of a company called Back Shield, you need a back shield. It is ergonomically created to help with that lower lumbar. One of the biggest areas drivers have pain is L4, L5, which is your lower back. Herniated discs, a lot of impact. It's going to help create that arch in your lower back. But we want to be able to sit in an upright position. We want our elbows dropped down, not up and out. We don't want our hand resting on the clutch 24/7. That's going to give you shoulder problems and wrist problems. And then finally, as awkward as it might feel in the beginning, find a headrest every couple of minutes in your truck. It's going to feel far back, and it might not be the perfect position to be driving in, but it'll be a great awareness point to be like, whoa, I was really far forward. And it's just going to bring you back. For those of you that have digestive problems, constipation issues, it's a posture problem. And so if you sit upright and you get off of your diaphragm, you get off of your stomach, you're going to allow to digest your food a lot easier. Quick, easy strategy to improve posture. So just a couple of things to check in with when you are in the driver's seat. All right, so what are some of the movements that we can do in our everyday life? One thing I want you to remember before I talk about the 4 movements everyone needs to do from the driver's seat in order to age healthy, in order to feel better, in order to reduce pain, is we want to remember that exercise, fitness, and health as a truck driver should be practical. It should be practical. It should fit into your day, okay? We also want to think about that it should be easy to implement. It should take no more than 5 minutes or less. Most of the stuff I teach drivers is like 30 seconds to a minute because you got to get going where you're going. And we want to change our mindset that health is in this bubble over here, that it really is practical. We really can bring it into our everyday life, and one move counts. One change counts. If all you do, if you watch this whole presentation, all you do is take one thing away from me and say, I'm going to do that every single day for a year, that's 1% better every day. That's 365% better at the end of the year, all because you just made one small change. This is how we start. This is where it comes from. This is where we're going. All right, number 1. This is probably my favorite move. This is the one I get the most emails, the most social DMs from, and it's called pelvic tilts. You can do this while driving. Now, I'm doing the full movement here. You can do this while driving, and I'm going to show you how to do it and how to tweak it from what you're seeing right now. I'm going to turn this chair sideways so you can see me better. All right, and guess what? Those of you that are sitting, you're going to do it with me. All right, so you're going to sit at the end of your chair. If I was in the driver's seat, I'm just going to sit upright, okay? So you can do this while driving. I'll show you both versions in a second here. When you take a nice big breath in, I want you to try to arc your back as much as you can. So it feels like your tailbone's pointing back and your ribs and your chest are splaying forward. This might feel a little stiff the first time you do it. It's because those muscles are locked. They haven't moved, and they should be. Now when you breathe out, I want you to try to tuck your tailbone, and if I was in the driver's seat, like I'm trying to pop a balloon with a pin. My tailbone turns up, my belly pulls in. If I was on the steering wheel and I wasn't driving, I'd grab on, I'm crossing my arms there for a little bit more of a stretch, and I would pull back so my whole spine is working. Since we don't have the steering wheel here, and if you were driving, let's focus on the lower back. So it's inhale, arc your back, do it with me, and then exhale, round your back and pull your belly in. Inhale, arc your back, and exhale, round your back. You guys, this is so simple, so practical. If you're driving and you have back pain, you can't stop, you don't want to stop, you need to do something right now immediately, or you feel like your leg is going to fall off, this is the movement that you want to do. Those of you that struggle with sciatica is a lower back problem. It's the nerve endings in your lower back screaming in your leg. It's all connected. You have to start moving your lower lumbar. You have to start moving your lower back. If you're feeling like a little bloated digestive problems, you can do this move. So this is called pelvic tilts, and you can easily add this in to your everyday life. You can do this while driving. Yes, while driving. Hands on the wheel, looking forward. No one's even going to know you're taking care of yourself. That's the best part. And so how'd that feel? Pretty good, right? Super simple, super easy. You can do this anywhere that you're sitting. This is one of my favorite moves. I get the most requests from drivers. This is the one that they love for back pain. So ask yourself, where can I fit this in? Where can I add a movement like this into my everyday life? What if this was the only thing that you did for the next 30 days? What if this was the only thing you did for the next 30 days? And now you don't have back pain. Now you don't have neck pain. And because you don't have neck pain and back pain, you're not thinking so negatively about everything that's going on around you. Heck, you might even smile at somebody, all because you're feeling better. It's a trickle effect. How we feel in our physical body can be either a prison for how we look at life, how we look at others, how we look at ourselves, or it can be the best kept secret that we want to share with everybody. We have to start small. We have to start somewhere. This isn't about you being the fittest trucker. This is about you being able to move in your everyday life and enjoy the things that matter. The last thing I want for you, I work with drivers every single day, is to go home and enjoy your family, and you can't. Because your body won't let you. To spend all this time and retire, and now you can't do the things that you love. Because you didn't take care of your body. Because nobody told you that it wasn't as complicated as you thought it was. Okay, so number 1, pelvic tilts. I told you there's 4 movements today. Let's see if this curt little guy is going to work on me here. It's like I don't want to click too fast. There we go. Number 2 is a twist. So why do we need to twist in our everyday life? Why should we be rotating the spine? Well, because there's little discs in between your vertebrae. I think of them like jelly donuts, okay? So stack the jelly donuts on the counter, and every jelly donut has the perfect amount of jelly, right? And if I come over to that stack of jelly donuts and I squish down one side of it, what happens to that donut? The jelly spurts out the side. The same is true for our spine. In between every vertebrae, we have a nice little jelly disc. And if every single day, month after month, year after year, you keep spurting the jelly out of the disc, what does this look like I'm doing right now? Arm on the driver's door, leaning, or on the clutch, constantly shifting yourself, those jelly donuts get wrecked. Those jelly donuts slowly start to leak. Now you got sciatica. Now you have chronic lower back pain. Now it hurts to move. And so rotation or twisting is one of the best things we can do for our body. So let's take inventory. How many times a day do you think that you twist your body? Be honest with yourself. Once? Twice? If you're lucky, 5? So I have a Honda Pilot as my day car, and when I got it, I was like, awesome backup camera, right? Like lifesaver when you're parallel parking, when you're trying to back up and do what you got to do. But what I recognized was it robbed me of the very few times a day that I actually look over my shoulder. Because now I don't have to. Now I'm just looking forward. Or the swivel chair. I do a lot of computer work because I'm making content for you guys all the time. And so the swivel chair took away the need to have to rotate. Best, worst invention ever. So how many times a day Do you rotate your body? Well, your body's going to tell you right now how many times you do that. So let's sit nice and tall, feet on the floor flat, scooch to the edge of your chair. You can do this in the driver's seat. You can do this wherever you're sitting. When you wake up in the morning and you're sitting up at the edge of the sleeper, just kick your feet down and add a little twist. I want you to take a nice deep breath in. I'm going to set this guy down. And as you breathe out, let's rotate one direction. And as you rotate one direction, take your hand and place it on the back of the chair, just like I'm doing in the picture, except I'm in the driver's seat. And you're going to take your other hand. If I was in the driver's seat, I'm going to place it on the steering wheel. Otherwise, take it to outside of your thigh. Okay, so opposite, and we're going to twist. So it would look like this. I got to put the mic down for a second. And as you twist, okay, don't come out of the twist yet. I want you to take a deep breath in and think about your belly button. And as you exhale, try to twist just your belly button. So think about that area twisting a little bit more. And then take a nice deep breath in again for me. Sit nice and tall. And now think about the bottom of your rib cage and twist the bottom of your rib cage, kind of like a jar on a lid, or a lid on a jar, I should say. And then inhale again, nice deep breath in, sit tall. And as you exhale, try to turn your shoulders now. How far can I turn both of my shoulders? Take a nice deep breath in again. And now try to turn your head, neck, and eyes. Think about your chin sitting on your shoulder level, and look out of the corner of your eyes as much as you can. Challenge your vision. Most of the day you're looking straight forward. Your eyes have muscles too. And now slowly unwind. Now if you're feeling a little stiff on the unwind part, that's normal. That's because you never do this. And so if you want your body to be a little bit happier, you got to do this. Guess what? We have two sides. My thought is always be glad you're not an octopus, or we'd have to do this 8 times. So we're going to do this 2 times. We're going to twist the other way. So you're sitting nice and tall. Pay attention to which side twists better. We typically rotate one direction more than the other. One side's going to be really happy. One side's not going to be so much. So nice deep breath in. We're going to work bottom to top again. Hand on the outside of the thigh. It's opposite arm, opposite leg. Opposite hand back behind the chair. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, at the belly button, try rotating the lower spine. So we're working our way up like an elevator. Then nice deep breath in. And exhale, try rotating at the rib cage. Hey, Kelvin, just do this right here. There you go. And then take a nice deep breath in. And now try to rotate your shoulders. Really try to rotate your shoulders, but stay super open in your chest. And then take a nice deep breath in again. And rotate your head, neck, and eyes. Think about your chin trying to sit on a pedestal on your shoulder. Notice if one side of your neck rotates better than the other. Don't forget to look out the corners of the eyes. Everything we do all day is straightforward. Our muscles in our eyes get lazy, then all of a sudden we need glasses like me. And then slowly unwind, just nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow. How did that feel? Not too bad, right? Was one side tighter than the other? Yeah, so where can I add more movement into the day? I call it the 2-to-1 ratio. If you notice you're tighter one direction, do that side twice. Do that side a little bit longer. It's a use it or lose it, people. But the great thing is if you start using it, you can regain it. This could also look like you're in bed, or you're in the sleeper, or you're on the floor. I'm going to be on the floor in just a second here. And you could do that same movement, but just do it laying down. So before you go to bed at night, just take one leg up and bring it across your body. And then pick up your head and turn it the other way. You can even rest your knee on a pillow if you need to. And stay there as long as you'd like. If you're someone that's like, oh, I don't know if my mind would let me do that, well, then pop Facebook open and start scrolling Facebook as you're doing that stretch. I'm practical. Where can I find time to add these movements into my day? Spinal health, if you care about your spine, you care about your back, you're wearing a back brace all the time, those muscles need to move. Those muscles need to breathe. Those muscles need to be able to do what they're supposed to do for you. And when we're sitting all day, our bodies can't do that. The cool thing about the human body is that it knows exactly what to do. So if you have kids, I have 3 kids, or when you were little and your parents and you were learning how to walk and crawl, they didn't get down on their hands and knees and say, okay, now have good posture, use your core, use your glutes. No, of course they didn't, because the human body knows exactly what to do. But we are an adaptation to our environment over time. We put our body in a poor environment, our body will slowly adapt to it whether we like it or not. So we can change that if we can't change our environment by simply adding things like this into our everyday life. So we talked about pelvic tilting. We talked about twist and rotation, but what else can we do from the driver's seat? Core strength. So one of the things I hear a lot from drivers is they're concerned about their core strength. Well, core strength equals back strength. So a stronger core is going to equal a stronger lower back. And all that sitting, I know this is an uncomfortable conversation we're going to have, but all that sitting leads to weak pelvic floor muscles. So incontinence is a real issue in not only women, but men as well. It's not just an age issue. Don't let anyone tell you that. And all of that sitting, those muscles stop working. And so we need to find ways that we can incorporate core health into our day. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just start doing sit-ups. Scouts Honor promised me that you will never do a sit-up ever again. Why? Because sit-ups wreak havoc on your lower back. They strain your neck. If you have herniated discs, you are making a bad problem worse. And more importantly, if you do have incontinent issues, if you do have a weak pelvic floor, you are putting so much pressure on that pelvic floor by doing this that you are taking a bad problem and you are escalating it way farther than it needs to be. So this is about using your core functionally. So we can all figure out, okay, I have core muscles. Sometimes people tell me, hope I don't have any core muscles. Well, if you didn't have any core muscles, you would fall over right now. Your spine doesn't keep you up. Your fascia and your core muscles keep you up. So sit up nice and tall. You're going to be able to check this with me right now. Just sit up nice and tall. Take your hands on your waist right here. I don't care what size your waist is, doesn't matter. And I want you to cough. I know that sounds weird. You're probably thinking of something right now. That's not what we're doing here. And I want you to cough. What you should feel is those muscles contract, right? Those muscles turn on. So you have them. So how do we use them? I call this core float. So it doesn't matter where you're sitting. You're going to sit towards the edge of the chair since we're sitting on chairs today. And as you sit upright. Now we know what good posture looks like, right? And you're going to tip yourself back just a hair. So right underneath those bony protrusions, those are called your sitting bones, you're going to lean back, and there's like a little fleshy shelf back there. That's your glute muscles. And I want you to pick one leg up off the floor. And if you touch your core, it's like, oh, those muscles are kicking in. You guys, that's core work. Okay, so now here's where the real fun begins. Try to lift both legs up. It's like, what? How do you do that? And so just start small. So if you're waiting for a load, you're just sitting in the driver's seat, just lean back, sit up off the back of the seat, and just try lifting 1 foot up off the ground. Your core automatically kicks in. Be really tall, so all those muscles kick in. This is core work. I can alternate lifting one leg and then the other, or I can go for broke and I can try to lift both legs. This is called functional core work. This is how you integrate all of your core muscles, all 365 degrees. Your deepest core muscle is a back muscle. It's a back muscle. So when you're doing sit-ups on the floor, that muscle never turns on. So you might see someone with really ripped six-pack abs, but they have no back muscles. It's because they're focusing here and they're not focusing on the entire core. This could also look like, if you have space to lay down inside the truck, at home, wherever it is, you could do this same exercise, getting your spine nice and straight and just dropping one leg at a time. You could even keep 1 foot on the floor and just lift and lower the leg. And you're going to feel those muscles kick in. So the cool thing about the human body is that when you put your body in the right position, it automatically turns on. So now you know good posture, right? That's how we started today. So if you remember that good posture in everything that you do, your muscles are going to already kick in. So that way when you're standing, your core muscles are turned on. I'm not sucking in, pushing out, pulling in, none of that. My core muscles are turned on. Why? Because I know what good posture looks like. You can do this too. So we talked about pelvic tilting. Where can I add that pelvic tilting into my day? In the driver's seat, hello, right? We talked about rotation. How and where can I add more rotation into my day? When you're standing in line, anywhere. Hello, there's lines everywhere today. Just add a little twist in. Who cares if someone sees you? You might inspire them that they got to move their body too. We have so many preconceived notions in our head of what we think fitness should be that we limit ourselves to the potential of what health and fitness could be. I, as a yoga teacher, and I practiced yoga for almost 20 years now, my thought when I first started was like, I got to practice 2 hours a day, I got to do all this stuff, or like, I'm not healthy, I'm not fit. And I realized that that was wrecking my body. I was in pain. I was injuring myself. And so just like you, I was on the other end of the spectrum. And I already had injuries to begin with. And I was like, I got to fix this problem. Something's not right. And so when I stopped doing all that and I started doing stuff like this, I'm more healthy, more fit, and more active than I've ever been in my entire life. And it's all because I just find the tiny little pockets of the time and day to insert movements like this. 1 minute here, 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here. By the end of the day, you may have 15 minutes of movement that you never had. We actually had a driver come up to us yesterday, and he's been following us on social media. He did one of our free challenges a year ago, and he was so excited. And he's like, Hope, I got to tell you. So you told us about, like, start small and just start with one thing and commit it, like make it your own, and I did that. And what I did, Hope, was I started doing, like you said, when I do my pre-trip check, I started walking around the truck for everything I checked. And so instead of walking around the truck one time, I walk around the truck now 6, 7, 8 times. I do my lights, then I do my tires, and he just kept going. And in a month's time, he lost over 20 pounds. And I'm not focused on the weight thing, but the cool thing about that was just he just picked one thing to do, and he started doing it. And he's like, when I look under the truck now, I make it a point to get down as low as I can, because that might be the only time during the day that I do that. Instead of doing this and going, that's okay, I try to make it a full life movement. So now he's walking miles a day instead of steps a day. You can do this. Fitness is practical. Okay, so core strength now. We know how to strengthen our core. Hip and hamstring release. For those of you who's ever had sciatica before, it's a really painful experience, and it's really hard to get rid of. It's like lingering in your body, waiting to come back out. The interesting thing about sciatica is that most people, 10% of people are more prone to sciatica than other people are, and the reason being is you have muscles in your glute here. So that nerve comes from your lower back, it goes through your glute and down your leg, and those muscles cross. And for some of us, I'm one of those people, the nerve goes in between the muscles. And for those of you lucky people that have never had sciatica, that nerve goes over the muscle. See, our bodies are not all the same. As much as we think when we learn anatomy, everyone looks the same, it doesn't. And so for those of you that have that muscle, that the nerve that's going through the muscle, we got to stretch the glute. We got to stretch the hamstring. We got to relieve some of that pain in the lower back. So one of my favorite ways to do that is with this easy hamstring stretch. And I'm going to show you a double down here movement as well. So we're going to sit at the end of the chair. Like I said, this is a play along. I like interactive, you guys. And so step one is we're going to stretch the hip. So as you sit nice and tall, I want you to try to pick your leg up off the ground. This is a movement itself. Like, how am I supposed to pick up my leg? Hope? Well, this is the activity today, is you're going to pick up your leg. I can hold under my hamstring. I can hold on my shin. Heck, I could grab a belt or a towel. I'm practical. Find what works. And I want you to try to hug your knee in as close as you can, and at the same time, sit as tall as you can. And you should feel that in your lower back. You should feel that in your hip a little bit. And you're going to hold that for a couple of breaths. And then release that leg down and do the same thing on the opposite side. We have 2 legs. We got to do it twice. So nice and tall. Remember, good posture. Bring your leg to you rather than you going to the leg. So can I bring my leg into my chest and sit as tall as I can? So now I'm stretching my hip, my hamstring, and my glute. So now once I've done that, once or twice, right, that took like 30 seconds, right? We have 30 seconds in our day. The second step, and I'm going to show you 2 versions, I call this figure 4 stretch. So the second version here is you're going to take that leg and bring it up and cross it over the knee. Here's a little test. How many of you had to do this? So a good little test for you for hip rotation and hip strength is to start practicing to see if you can get that leg up without. That will show you deep hip rotator strength and flexibility. We need those muscles in our hip if we want to be able to stay out of a wheelchair. It's okay if you got to yank it up. We got to start somewhere, right? It's okay if you have to hold your pant leg, okay? So once that leg is up there, flex the foot. So when you flex the foot, it just turns on the hip muscles a little more, and then sit as tall as you can. That already might be a stretch. You might have some pinching here. Don't be freaking out. That muscle is just being stretched. All right, so that's step 1. You can see I'm doing another version in the picture where you could also just have your legs sit on your truck seat, okay? So you have options here. But we're going to do the knee version here. So this is step one. If you have back pain, hip pain, sciatica, anything like that, you need this stretch. All right, so deep breath in, and now I want you to lean forward from your hip, not from your ribs. You know what good posture looks like now. And lean forward as far as you can until you feel a stretch. Do you feel that stretch coming through your hamstring, your hip, your glute, maybe into your lower back? Just go as far as you can. And if you want to take it further, for you overachievers, press down either with your elbow or your hand gently on that crossed leg. So that's how, it's like a dial. You can decide how much you want to turn it up and just keep going until your body won't let you go any farther. If you find that you keep waking up at night from just can't seem to fall asleep, your back hurts, your knees are aching, your hips are aching, do this stretch before you go to bed at night, okay? And so let's come up, let's do the opposite side because that wouldn't be fair to your body. You're going to be walking around limping crooked all day. So bring that leg up. Ooh, check that leg. Which leg's easier? Flex the foot. Sit nice and tall. We're talking about hip pain, lower back pain, hamstring stretching. Nice and tall. And then slowly leaning forward. Now, think of this like a permission slip. The intention sometimes in our mind is like, I must get far or it's not good. I just want you to try to go as far as you can until you no longer feel sensation, or so you should feel sensation. And then once that passes, that's your permission slip to go a little farther. Notice if your right side is a little bit more tender, tight, or sore than the left side. Why is that? That's because we're standing asymmetrical all day. We're leaning. We're using one side of our body typically more than others. I mean, we're right or left-hand dominant. We're loading one side all day. So maybe you're carrying with the left side so you can do with the right. Now one side is getting all the weight and pressure. If you're the leaner, remember this one, load, pressure on the hip. It's also jouted out to the side. Now all of those ligaments are overstretched. So when you start practicing good posture, don't be surprised if your body starts telling you, I hate this. You must go back to poor posture immediately. That's because your body's not used to it, okay? So there's good sensation like, oh, I'm using new muscles, and then there's like alarm, hit 911 immediately. Most of us in our mind, when we feel something we're not used to feeling, immediately think it's bad. Immediately think this is painful, I shouldn't do it. Whenever I'm working with drivers and we do a stretch like this, there's usually one or two people that are like, it hurts, I shouldn't do it. And I'm like, does it hurt? Like getting your foot run over by a truck, that hurts. This is just sensation that you aren't used to feeling, okay? Your body's not accustomed to this. This isn't pain. This is you feeling something different, okay? So where can I fit this in during the day? If you're wondering, like, I don't know, like, where else could I do this? You can also do this laying down, okay? So when you lay down at night, you have space because you're sleeping, so you can't use that excuse. You're just going to cross one ankle over the knee, and you're going to press the leg out. So you can do the same stretch laying down in bed, in the bunk, and you don't need a lot of space. So no excuse. This is a great stretch right before you go to bed at night. And then remember how I talked about rotation? You can add a twist in right there too. So now you're getting hip, hamstring, and lower back. That's a 2-for-1 deal. Look out, McDonald's. I got a way better offer for these people. All right, so now you have 4 different stretches that you can do in the driver's seat, but I got a bonus one for you guys too because I just can't stop myself, and I want you guys to be as healthy and mobile as possible. How many of you have neck pain? Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? And so if you find yourself jaw clenching, if you find yourself with headache tension, you can't figure out why, and dehydration, now that you're drinking more water, that's not the problem. It's that head position we talked about. So if I'm driving and I start up my morning and I'm feeling pretty good, as the day goes on, my head slowly starts to slump forward. We all do it. Now we're in the age of texting and we're all walking around like this. That's a recipe for disaster for your neck. And so one, we want to first just make sure we're always rechecking our neck posture. Slide the chin in, find the headrest. Remember, the headrest is just a checkpoint. It's a wellness pit stop for your head. Where does it belong? And once we do that, we can do these stretches. So number 1 is the top one. This is a release for your upper neck. Super simple, super easy. You're going to take your hands and place them right at the bottom of the skull. It's called the occipital bone. And you're going to place both hands behind there. I only have one hand because otherwise you won't hear me, okay? And so pretend my other hand is up there. You're going to place your hands behind your head, drop your chin. If you're walking by, you can do this. Don't worry. We won't be upset. And so as you drop your chin to your chest, once you're there, push your head up into your hands and resist. And as you do that, just relax your upper back simultaneously. So I can roll down just a little bit more, or I can resist and try to sit more upright. I can turn my head slightly to the right, like think of your chin like a swinging pendulum. I can turn my head slightly to the right, and you should find all of that release in your neck. Now, we're going to feel it where the most tense. Do you guys feel that? Yes? It feels pretty good, doesn't it? And so you're going to feel it where you're the most tense. So this is something you can easily do every single day to increase neck mobility. So the second part to that is down in the, what would that be? The right-hand corner. This is called nerve glides. This is the sister stretch to what we just did. Going to extend one arm out, flex the palm, sit nice and tall, relax the shoulder, and then drop your head away from that shoulder. As you do that, push the heel of the hand down as much as you can. You might get a little bit of some nerve zinging there. And as you do that, take your opposite hand and gently pull down on the side of the head. It'll look like this. And as you do that, just turn your head slightly. Try to find where you're the most tight. That might feel like a little bit ropey. And you can move the arm as well. These are called nerve glides. If you get numbness and tingling down the arm, if your hand goes numb randomly, if you have frozen shoulder, if you jaw clench, this is the move for you. And then once you've done that side, lift your head up nice and slow. That might be a little stiff. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? And then try the opposite side. So again, hand flexes. Usually one side is different than the other. Drop, especially if you're driving manual, you have a clutch. That one side is usually going to be a little bit more cranky than the opposite side. And then use that hand, remember, pull down on the side of the head. And just breathe. When is the last time that you paid attention to your breath? So as you stretch the neck, just try to tune into your breath. Just 1 or 2 breaths. We're always hustling, trying to get from one place to another. And so just take 5 seconds and just breathe. And see if your body can let go a little bit for you. And then slowly bring your head back up to center. All right, now in the driver's seat, last one here is you would grab the back of the headrest and pull your elbows back. Well, we don't have a headrest because these are not VIP chairs. These are like VIA chairs. You're not quite as upper class, but they're nice. They're cushy. You're going to take your hands back behind your head, and you're going to pull your shoulder blades together and pull your elbows back as much as you can without pushing your rib cage out. So it'll look like this. Not here. And so maybe for some of you, you're feeling a stretch right in your underarms. And against the headrest, that feels super good. But how many times do you reach up overhead every single day? How many times do you actually take your arms up overhead? My grandparents are gone now. They've been gone for a really long time, but my husband right there in the trucker camo, his grandmother's still here. She's 95. And now she's finally at the point where she's in a senior living home. And when they moved her in, she used to love cleaning, doing all her cleaning herself. They took everything out of the upper cabinets and everything out of the lower cabinets because they were worried she would hurt herself. But what they ended up doing to her is they robbed her of the little bit of movement that she would be doing every single day. She no longer reaches up overhead. She no longer squats down low. We are doing this to ourselves over time. This is a slow accumulation. So where can you add more reaching into your day? Where can you get your arms up overhead? Because if you don't do it now, you're going to be 80 in a wheelchair and you can't figure out what happened. I want you to live the best quality life possible. In order to do that, this isn't about exercise. This is about you moving more in your everyday life. One of the most common questions I get from drivers is, Hope, how can I do this more? Like, how can I keep learning these things? How can I add this more to my everyday life? And the answer is that you can follow me on social media, but you can also join Mother Trucker Yoga Lifestyle Jumpstart membership platform and app. We have an app now. We have more than 150 videos made custom for truck drivers. So stuff that we just did today in the driver's seat, in the sleeper, right outside the rig. And if you look on your chairs, I actually have a card for you guys. You can fill this out, and you can get 30 days free. Just check us out. I just want you to have the resources that you deserve so that you can keep on trucking and you can keep on moving in the best health possible. This isn't about being the healthiest trucker. This isn't about losing 60 pounds in 30 days, because we all know when you do that, what happens in the next 30 days. They come back and double. This is about making real lifestyle changes. And I have worked now with thousands of truckers over the last 4 years, and one of the things that I've learned hearing back from all of these truckers, men and women of all ages, all shapes, all sizes, is they say, I wish somebody would have told me about this sooner. I wish somebody would have told me about these small changes that we can make in our lives every single day. So I'd love you to fill that out. You can try us, check us out for free, download our app, and see what we have to offer. What this means for you is that you can get your life back. You can keep on trucking. You can keep on rolling. You can stop feeling like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do because I'm a truck driver. I'm going to have this pain. You don't have to live this way. I believe that everybody can live healthy as a trucker over the road. It's the small, simple changes that lead to the big results. Whether you are a truck driver, whether you are a school teacher, whether you are a truck driver's spouse, you can do these movements. You can make these changes. You deserve to live healthy as a driver for the long haul. You deserve to live healthy as a driver so that when you go home to your family and your loved ones, you can actually enjoy them. You deserve to live healthy as a driver for the long haul so that you can keep on trucking no matter where you are. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. We have a couple minutes for some questions, and so if you have some questions, feel free, just raise your hand. I'd love to answer anything you guys have before you get going today. Make sure you stop over at our booth in the west wing. We're on the main wall all the way down, and if you're interested in a copy of our book or you want to learn more about our app and what we have to offer, you can go talk to the ladies over at the booth. Please fill out the cards. You'll just get more information on us. You know, this is just something for you to be able to try. We'd love to hand you over an awesome little koozie here. If you hand it over to Brian, he'll give you a fun little koozie so you can go have a beverage and not let your hand freeze. But if you have a question, I'm happy to answer it for you guys. Anyone have any questions? Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah.
I'm not a truck driver, but I do work in a hospital where we do have some sitting. So is there anything that we can do to tighten the core as far as, like, if you've had children and those muscles have, you know?
Yeah, so what's her name? Megan's asking, what can I do to strengthen my core? And so she specifically asked if you have children. But here's the deal. If you are carrying 30 pounds or more of weight in the front of your body, you can also have what's called diastasis recti. It's a splitting of the rectus abdominis. So men and women can have the same problems, and it's that extra weight that you're carrying. So one way to be able to do that is the core float that we talked about. But another thing that you can think about doing is when you're on your back, laying down, okay, this is not about sit-ups, but this is about creating resistance, is you're going to take one leg up, opposite hand, and you're going to press and resist and hold that for 10 slow counts. So you're going to immediately feel those core muscles kick in without putting pressure on your lower back. I actually have a little curve in my back. This video is actually in our platform. And so you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. You're going to hold it for 10 slow counts. And then if you want to turn up the dial even more, you're going to bring both legs up and cross both arms and hold it. I want you to try this when you go home tonight. You really can feel every core muscle kick in. Our deepest core muscle is a back muscle. It's called the transverse abdominal. It's actually like a corset around our body. So when we're doing core muscles that push our back into the floor or yank our head up, we're not turning on that muscle and we're not strengthening our back. So try that move at home. It really does work. And it's trying to strengthen those muscles. If you're split here, if you're carrying extra weight, more than likely you could have that diastasis recti, that split in the rectus abdominis, and not even know it. And so that's an easy way to strengthen those core muscles that doesn't put a lot of pressure on the lower back. Any other questions? Yeah. What can you be doing for that? What's your name, James? Yeah. So James asked about a shoulder question, and this is, I hear this a lot. Shoulder issues are definitely something that happens, and it's a lot of times lack of mobility, frozen shoulder, maybe some of you are struggling with. He specifically was asking about it's hard to reach backwards. So Again, I know it seems super simple and super silly, but when you wake up in the morning, I just want you to try to practice how high can I lift my arm and how far can I go back. Think of it like the backstroke. I know this might seem like your grandmother's exercises, but if you're doing this, you can do it with both arms and try to do a full rotation. So I'm going up, my palm is in, out, my palm is up, and back and down. And if you hear like clunk, clink, clunk, clink, clunk when you're doing it, this is your body telling you that you need to do this, okay? So remember, it's a use it or lose it. So if I want to be able to reach my arms up overhead when I'm 80, heck, when I'm 60, I need to be able to do this. We could do this with both arms, super easy. How far can I reach back when I bring my arm behind me? I mean, think about it. When are you doing this during the day? When are you using the full rotation of your shoulder socket? Your shoulder socket's a ball and socket joint. That means it has full rotation, full mobility. How often do you do this? I worked in a nursing home for a while teaching movement like this to men and women in wheelchairs and that were stair-bound. You wouldn't believe how difficult it was for them to get their arm even up to shoulder height. This doesn't have to be you. You may be walking by and thinking that is so silly, but wait another 10, 20, 30 years, you won't be thinking this is so silly. Watching those men and women in that nursing home struggle to get their arm up overhead, struggle to reach up towards the sky, and that's all they wanted so bad, just broke my heart. So this is something so easy, and you got to work up to it. So for like James, he had a little bit of a shoulder problem. Maybe this is how high he can get. And then every day he's just going to keep working on it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Is there any other questions? We probably have time for one more question. Uneven posture. Yeah, what's... Is it Jamar? So Jamar had a great question. So here's a fun little thing you guys can all do. Once you're in front of a full-length mirror, I know, but I want you to look at yourself in a full-length mirror and notice when you're standing, now that you know good posture, look at your shoulders. Look at your arm hang. It is not uncommon for one arm to hang lower than the other. And so we have to look from the bottom to the top. And you want to do this without shoes on because shoes can skew your posture a little bit. And so you want to first take a look and make sure that one ankle isn't falling in or out. You want to have a nice sturdy ankle. And then as you work your way up your body, okay, that hip, remember how the leaner? If you're a leaner for the last how many years of your life, guess what your body's doing to compensate? Your shoulders dropping down. And now you bring your posture back, and it's like, ooh, that feels a little odd. So one, we want to try to realign that posture so it's a lot easier on our shoulders. But the second thing that you want to pay attention to, and it's called hanging, okay? So if you have a spot, like my kids have monkey bars, you can even do this on the kitchen sink. So you can grab something that has a lip or a truck step. There's a truck back there right now. You could grab the truck step or put your hand somewhere, and you're going to pull back. Hold on to something and pull back as hard as you can and just relax your body to try to release. It's called fascia. It's like a netting for your body, and try to release some of that sticky stuff. You can also do that overhead and just hang to try to release some of what's stuck there. But those are really good things to do. Actually, it's in the book, and it's also in our app. So it's called hanging, to try to release some of that fascia to help with that unevenness. Another thing that you can check is your clavicles. So it's easy to see it in the mirror. Our clavicles should be horizontal. For most of us, they're in a V, because this is how we walk around all day. This is what we're doing. We're hunched over, we're bundled up, we're down in front. No wonder anxiety and depression is a real issue. When you're like this, you're not even breathing anymore. So hanging is one of them. 2, that down and back, that break the stick. And 3, those next exercises, those are great if you're finding uneven shoulders. And these are just things that you can be doing over time every single day. Remember, you learned a lot today. Pick one thing. What is one thing that I can commit to? Because if I do that every single day for a year, that's 365% healthier than you were a year ago. I don't want you to walk away from this and decide, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to do P90X. I'm going to do all this stuff and do it for a month, maybe even 3 months, and then throw it away, and then you're even further back than you were. This is about consistency, you guys. The name of the game is consistency. All right, is anyone one last time for one last question? I think we got a couple minutes left. Anybody else? Awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Hope Zvara, Mother Trucker Yoga. We're over in the West Wing. Check us out, main wall, walk all the way down. I have a book called Trucking Yoga, Simple Fitness for the Long Haul, more than 60 exercises, the posture we did today, the 4 basic movements everyone needs to be able to do to age healthy. I compare the entire human body to a big rig, every single body part and what that means and looks like on your truck, and how you can stay healthy and more active in small, simple ways. Make sure you fill out the card on your chair. Free 30 days to our membership site, our app, but more importantly, just so you can access some more of these movements and you can start learning them. To me, it's a win if you just learn some of these things and import them into your life. You can give the card to Brian over here. We have some awesome little can koozies we'd love you to walk away with. And I just thank you for your time. Don't forget to follow us on social media. I appreciate it.